Okay, boxing fans. So we just watched Carl the Jackal Frampton, so we have. Knock out Chris Avalos in round 5. Stopped him on his feet, but it's a good stoppage, because he was all over the place, so he was. That was my Irish accent, Northern Irish accent. If you're offended by this, I do apologise, but it's the best I can do. I'll get someone else who can do a better one very soon. But that means you got to do the Irish accent in a bit, Kingy. So, firstly, Kingy, what do you reckon about the fight, the performance, and the knockout?
Thought it was. It looked
Irish
like it's
accent!
gonna.
Irish accent!
I like it, so I did. I thought it was going to be very close when I first started watching it, but it proved after a couple of rounds that Frampton was way better. So it did.
Aye.
But I was
Later on,
very impressed with her. Sorry, I can't think of what to say and do the accent.
okay,
It's not working, mate. Like,
okay, go back to normal Kingy.
yeah, I was actually really impressed with Frampton. I thought Avalos. Well, I didn't think he'd beat him, but I thought he'd give him a good fight. But he really dealt with him well. Like, I know he likes that style, and he's fought Kiko twice with a similar style. Sort of roughing him up, trying to get in his face and that. And he always seems to deal with it. But I was impressed once again with him. And
Yeah.
I think he is most technically the best British boxer, in my opinion. I've been saying this for a good while now as well. Technically the best one we've got. There's maybe guys that are slicker boxers and that, but they haven't got the power that he's got as well. He's a strong lad for the weight as well, which gives him a lot of advantage. I mean, he's pushing Avalos back quite a lot. When they were clinching, he was the one pushing Avalos back, not the other way around. So
Yeah. So, I'm just going to get to the next part with you. Did you think the stoppage is correct?
yeah, I do. Maybe could have let it go on a little bit longer, but he was only getting more of the same. I mean, he sort of dragged himself towards Frampton and got pulled on the floor, which gave him a few more seconds. But Frampton was just lining him up with a big right hand, and he just.
Yeah.
Although Avalos was throwing back, there was nothing in his punches, and Frampton was hitting him flush in the face with big right hands, and you can't keep taking that kind of punishment. Like
At that point, he was getting absolutely lampooned, wasn't he? So,
he was getting arseholed. His hands were down. He was every time he got hit, he was shaking up, and
yeah.
kind of saved him from himself. Really, he was obviously a tough kid, but no one's taking that flush in the face.
He did actually do, just before the stoppage, before Howard Foster grabbed hold of him. Howard Foster still got a job, don't know how. But he did actually do like a bit of a Bambi on ice dance. He was like, that's too much to drink. And then Howard Foster grabbed him. So it wasn't a bad stoppage by Howard Foster to give Howard Foster a bit of praise for the first time ever. But yeah.
It was sort of a bit of an awkward moment when he jumped in, but he could have jumped in before that. And like I say,
affected all
anymore. You just put it. Avalos is just going to take a beating. You don't want that. He wasn't going to win, was he? So
anymore, and he would have been flat on his back, and he wouldn't have got up.
Yes.
So it depends if you want to see that. It's up to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I prefer a guy to be safe from himself, really.
Yeah.
When they're a gutsy guy who wants to go out on the shield, you just save him from himself. It's not worth it.
Yeah. The last question I've got for you is, Frampton was in the ring with Scott Quigg. Scott Quigg in a suit that made him look like he's going to a funeral. Is that fight happening next? What's going to happen? Why is he wearing that suit?
I hope it happens next, but I don't know. I'm always a bit concerned when Eddie Hearn's involved. His fighters fighting someone who, well, I'm 99% sure would beat Quigg. I can't see, and I'm pretty sure that Eddie knows that. So I don't know whether I can see that happening, unless Eddie thinks of cashing him out, which might happen. But I like the respect between them, definitely.
Yeah.
Even when, McGuigan and Frampton repeatedly dug him in the ribs with the old legitimate title business, so.
That's right. Other than that, what else we've got to say? You think it might happen? You're not 100% sure. You don't know.
I wouldn't have thought that it would happen.
Who's next? Who's next?
I don't know. I'd like to see him fight Donaire, someone like that. Bring Donaire over, or someone experienced.
I've just put that question out on Twitter, and one pleb already came back and said, "Why not Rigo? Why not Rigo?"
Well, I can't see that fight happening, but.
Well, I mean, it's not happening. It's not going to happen, is it?
No.
So
call me back on my phone. Give me a minute.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll move on now. Ryan, are you there?
Yeah.
What did you think about the whole fight? What did you think about the stoppage? And who do you think's next?
Well, Carl Frampton looked absolutely sublime. From the get-go, from round one, he was just, brilliant. Avalos came there to fight. He came there for a brawl. He got stuck in straight away. His game plan was maybe not spot on, but I don't see what else he could have done. I don't think he was going to ever outbox Frampton. So he came in there to, do what he could do, which is, pressure Frampton and try to get in his face, which he did. But every single time Frampton countered, he landed with sublime power, with brilliant precision. He never, at any time during that fight, did he look flustered in any way, Frampton. He might not fight as calmly as Guillermo Rigondeaux, but, because Guillermo Rigondeaux looks like he never even gets out of, first gear. But, Frampton didn't look like he got out of, second gear. He didn't look at all flustered, and everything Avalos threw at him, he dealt with calmly and perfectly. So his display was just perfect.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you think about the stoppage?
Yeah, it was fine. It was perfect. I don't think it was too soon or too late or anything. I think, like I said, Frampton was countering him and landing with precise power shots every single time Avalos came in. So he was throwing flurries of, say, 3 and 4 punches, and Frampton was getting hit by maybe one of them, a quarter of them, and throwing back 2 power shots in return. So every 4 punches Avalos threw, he got 2 power shots in reply. I don't think Frampton even threw any, or many jabs or anything. He was basically just landing with power shots after power shots. So Avalos, after about 3 or 4 rounds, he was gassed. So by 5th round, it was just time to pick him off.
Mm-hmm. What about the stoppage? Good stoppage?
Yeah, it was good stoppage, fine.
By Howard Foster?
Yeah, it wasn't a British stoppage though. But when I saw Howard Foster's face in the ring, I thought, yes, this is definitely a stoppage.
Mm. Yeah, well, it was good stoppage, to be fair.
Yeah, it was good.
Stoppage. Got to credit where it's due. Yeah, it was good stoppage. He was fucked. He was on his arse. He was lampooned. Who's next? Who's next?
Well, hopefully he fights Scott Quigg, so that one's out of the way, because I think Frampton is outgrowing Quigg. So if it doesn't happen this year, it won't happen, because Frampton is very close to being a pound-for-pound star, whilst Quigg probably never will be. So at the moment, they're just about on the same level. Quigg is probably a little bit underneath him, but they're still not proper world champions yet. Neither of them are. So for Frampton to be, a pound-for-pound star, he's got to beat some of those other top names, which I think he will. Whereas Quigg, I don't think will beat any, the Rigos and the Leo Santa Cruzes and all that. So if it doesn't happen in the next fight, Frampton will probably be on his way to fighting Donaire, maybe not Gradovich, he's up at featherweight. But I think he'll he can beat guys like Santa Cruz at super bantamweight. He could fight somebody like Rigo maybe, although I would avoid that one for now. There's a few Japanese fighters at super bantamweight, and and there's fighters who could come up from bantamweight.
Yeah.
And then at featherweight, if he moves up in a year or 2 years or something, he could fight the likes of Walters, Mares, Gradovich, who aren't that much bigger than him. I mean, look at Avalos today. He was taller than him by about 2 inches. So Gradovich is maybe a little bit bigger than that. Walters is only about 5'7". So he could easily move up to, he's a small super bantamweight, but then there are a lot of former super bantamweights up at featherweight. So I think he could easily become a 2-weight world champ.
Yeah, maybe. So, are you saying the Quigg fight does happen or does not happen?
I think it probably will. But I think it will all be in Quigg's corner to get it done. I think Frampton isn't going to be afraid of Quigg in any way. He just showed tonight how world class he is. He could beat the likes of Santa Cruz and some other guys. So I think he could easily beat Quigg as well. So I don't think Frampton is going to be afraid of fighting Quigg. I think that Quigg's team, he's with Eddie Hearn, isn't he?
Yep.
I think Eddie Hearn might be a bit wary of putting one of his star boys in there with Frampton. And also, where would the fight take place? You know, would it be in Belfast, which it probably should be, or will it be in England somewhere? So that they might have like argument about venues. Eddie Hearn might think that they could pack out the O2 Arena or something. But I don't think Frampton would even mind coming over to England. But then financially, I don't know how much he makes in Belfast. Maybe makes a lot of money. So anyway, yeah, I think it probably can be made, but it might take a while to negotiate.
Okay, no problem. Lastly, bringing in Paul. 3 questions for you, Paul. You with us?
I'm with you.
Yeah, okay. So the 3 questions are, what did you think of the fight? What do you think of the stoppage? And next, is it going to be Quigg?
What did I think of the fight? Pleasantly surprised. I was supporting Frampton. I predicted that the fight would be somewhat competitive. I thought Avalos, would give Frampton a couple of problems, but it was a complete no contest, wasn't it, from the start? An absolute whitewash. For Avalos, who's not a bad fighter, he's possibly a top 10 guy, and Frampton made him look like a journeyman, pretty much. And that's not because I'm not saying that's what I dig at Avalos. It's just Frampton was that good. He was levels above him. And
yeah, it's true.
Yeah. He beat the shit out of him. Let's put it bluntly. He beat the absolute living daylights out of the poor lad. I think he had an oxygen mask on in the corner, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, fight, brilliant result for Frampton, and an absolute whitewash of a fight.
Yeah. So the second question is, good stoppage?
Yeah. Howard Foster, he's got a lot of stick. We're one of the ones who give him a lot of stick, and he deserves a lot of stick. But tonight, I think he got it spot on. Yeah. He redeemed himself to an extent. I don't think he'll ever live down that Froch Grove's fair stoppage. But tonight, he saw his stock, shall we say, his stock went up quite a bit for me, because that was a spot-on stoppage. I know the guy didn't go down, but the guy was out on his feet. The guy was in another orbit, wasn't he? And if
he done the dance, didn't he? He done the dance, and he thought that's enough, yeah.
Yeah, the guy was... If that fight had gone on 10 seconds longer, I think the guy would have been seriously hurt, and he'd have gone out there because he was getting beat up bad. And he didn't complain when Foster stopped it, not really. And no one in his corner did. And you normally see foreigners do that when they get stopped on the feet. But the guy knew. Everybody there knew that the guy was never winning.
Yeah, that's right. And lastly, Quigg versus Frampton, is it happening next?
No. It won't happen because Quigg's team won't let it happen, to put it simply. They know. They can't be stupid. Carl Frampton would beat Scott Quigg. Whether you think he'd destroy him, whether you think he'd beat him in a close fight, whatever you think, Scott Quigg would not beat Carl Frampton. I think you will find very, very few people who think he will. So, sorry about that. Scott Quigg, I think Quigg himself would take the fight. I'm not going to accuse him of ducking or anything like that, but the people around him won't let the fight be made because there's too many stumbling blocks. There's egos, there's the split, there's the where the fight should happen, there's all sorts. It won't happen. I think Frampton is ready to move on now to bigger things, and Quigg, unfortunately for him, is just going to keep being matched with African journeymen and RGs who are bantamweights. Frampton's ready to move on past Quigg. Who's next for Frampton?
Yeah.
He won't fight Santa Cruz either for the same reasons. Santa Cruz is just content to fight bums for big money.
Right. Yeah,
for me, I want to see Frampton fight Rigo. I really want to see that now. I'd still make Rigo the favourite if it was made. I'd still pick Rigo to win, but I think Frampton has got the best chance of anyone of beating Rigo, at least at super bantamweight. I want to see that happen, or if it's not made, then personally, I just like to see Frampton move up. Then, if he can't get that fight, Donaire definitely coming back to super bantam.
Yeah, he's fighting his next fight at super bantamweight in the Philippines.
Well, that's okay then. If Donaire wins his next fight and doesn't look totally shot, then I wouldn't mind that fight, definitely. But if Frampton can't get Donaire, he can't get Quigg, and he doesn't want Rigo, if he can't get any of those guys, then he might as well just go up, because there's no point him just defending his belt, his IBF belt, against any more guys like Chris Avalos, because as great as that fight was to watch, I don't want to be seeing that every fight.
Okay, no problem. I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a good stoppage. And me, I want Donaire next, if not Scott Quigg. But I actually think Scott Quigg fight will happen. Scott Quigg said to me personally that he's got a big fight, a big year this year. It's make or break, and that means he's having a big fight this year. If it's in America, he said he might be in America. To be honest, I've got to point out, he did say he might be in America. But if it's not, it could be Belfast, could be in Manchester. We don't know where it could be. It could be in a lot of places, because the Frampton versus Quigg fight will sell out a lot of places. And it's a fight that a lot of people want to see. But that's what we think about this fight. That's what we hope for the future. Tell us what you think, guys.